Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to talk about bedrooms and for everybody in the house. Now, all important rooms, including bedrooms, need to receive qi if they are going to have a good effect on their occupants. And so you have to look at the qi flow through the house, and I have videos on this, and of course this might get a little complicated, and if you need help, get help from someone. Doesn't have to be me, but you can manipulate the qi if you need to. But your bedroom, everybody's bedroom should receive qi. Otherwise, most people's lives won't improve unless their bedroom receives qi. All beds should have a solid wall behind the headboard, or at least behind the bed. Some beds don't have headboards, but it's good to have a headboard. The most important bedroom in the house is that of the owners or the person or persons who are paying the rent if they don't own the place. And the bedroom for the children and others, like perhaps your grandparents or parents who are living with you, are typically based on the individual's qua number. And if we're talking about grandparents or parents, we're talking that of the owners or the people who are paying the rent. Now, there are many factors that you can consider for a bedroom location and the placement of the bed. Now, the bedroom location, most importantly, will depend on the flying stars. There are a few times when you would use the 8 mansions, but primarily it should be the flying stars. And you need to understand what are the key needs of the person or persons. And if we're talking about the owners, it's often 2. Health and relationships are always the focus in a bedroom. But sometimes, and this is especially true for kids in the house and including adult kids, sometimes they have to work from their bedroom or study from their bedroom. Then you can also consider how the facing star is related to the other stars. Here, it's the sitting star that's key. Again, the direction of the headboard is important, and it should be in a good personal 8 mansions direction. And it should have a wall behind it, solid support. It could be a very heavy, very sturdy screen, but that screen has to be quite stable. It can't easily move, because then it doesn't feel like support. And when we talk about flying stars in that sector, it's what we look at is the relationship between the stars. So which star is supported by the other stars. And one other thing that's quite important, whether you have the presence or absence of an activated special formation, can make a big deal of difference in trying to find out a good bedroom. And that is because you want to have the sitting star in the bedroom be timely. And if you have one of those 4 special formations, which are the pearl string, parent string, combo 10, and 7-star robbery, if you have any one of those activated, all stars are timely for all periods. So you have a lot more options in your house for bedrooms. Now, you will have a chart, a personal 8 mansions, and your house will have a house 8 mansions chart. And they are usually different. And there's nothing weird about that. Your personal 8 mansions are used to choose the direction that you sleep or work. And this is true for everybody in the household. The personal 8 mansions are also a consideration when it comes to the house facing and main door facing directions when you're choosing a house. The house's 8 mansions is different, and it's based on sector, not direction, and it could help you choose sectors to work or sleep in, but it's secondary to the flying stars. If your house happens to be between 2 different directions like between an ordinal and a cardinal direction, you might not have a flying star chart. Then you basically only have the 8 mansions. That's about the only time the 8 mansions rule. Now, if you have one of those activated special formations I just talked about, then your house's 8 mansions is almost irrelevant. All bedrooms should have the sitting star be supported by the facing star, and ideally also have the base star supporting the sitting star. And I will talk about what I mean by that in just a few slides. If you have an adult child either going to college or working, then a specific type of support that is a friend relationship between the facing and sitting star may be the best, because this supports both stars. And so they can focus, it's still good for a bedroom, but they can also focus on their study or work. And sometimes, if it's really needed, the sitting star can support the facing star if the person is healthy. But you only want to do that for a few years. If it goes on too long, this can make the person too focused on either studying or working to the detriment of their health or the detriment of their relationship. So you don't want to do this a long time. So this is the key to understanding what supports what. This will become the focus star. So and I will talk later about what is the focus star, but we have relationships between stars. So if we're looking at one is water, and we see that here, 6 and 7, which are metal, that produces water. So that's in the growth column. The friend means the same element, and there's only one, water, so you only have one. What controls water? It's earth. Earth controls water, and earth is 2, 5, and 8, so that's in the control column. If you want to, you can take a screenshot. This is a pretty important chart. This will help you understand what's going on in your house, and you can also check that I've done it right. I don't mind people checking. I actually prefer that they do. Now, in a bedroom, the sitting star is the focus star. So when you have a bedroom, you look at the facing, or you look at the flying stars in that bedroom, and you want to see that the sitting star is supported. That is, the facing star is in one of these columns along this row. And so let's say you have a sitting star of 9. Well, you want your facing star to be one of these, and preferably, but not absolutely necessary, that your base star be one of these also. And it's as simple as that. So let's look at a couple examples. This is the actual flying stars for a period 6 house, south 1 facing, and this is the northeast sector. So this is a bedroom, so 8 is the sitting star, that's the focus star. So we look here on 8. And then we want to look at, okay, what does the facing star do? Well, here it is. It controls, and that's why it's in red, the sitting star. That's good. Controlling is also a method of balancing. So I actually prefer balancing, but nobody uses that term, so I also call it controlling. And then, again, 8 is the focus. What happens with 9? Well, 9 is here. 9 grows 8. That's good. We can look at the relationship here. We don't have to, but in this case, 4, which is wood, produces fire, which is 9. So everything is pointing towards the sitting star. So this is a really, really good bedroom, because everything is pointing towards 8, the sitting star. Now this room can also be used for work or study if you have to do it there, because you have a 4. Now the 4 is a bit weakened because it's using its energy to improve these other stars. But whenever you have an annual or monthly star of 1 or 4 enter here, it becomes a much better room for studying or working. But again, this is only important if you have to study or work in your bedroom. In general, it's not ideal, but sometimes that's the way it has to be. If you're working in your bedroom, it disrupts your sleep because there's a reason for it. Like you're in the same room, and so you may start thinking about work, looking at your computer, even if it's not on, and you can't fall asleep then. I think that's why it's supposed to be a problem. So let's look at another sector. This is the west sector, same house. Here, 9 is now the focus star. So we look across here. 3 grows 9, so that's good. So the facing star produces the sitting star. But when we look at the base star, we can see if we make 8 the base star as a focus just temporarily, we can see 9 produces it and 3 produces it. So the direction of flow is away from the sitting star or the facing star. Now the base star tells you the potential for improvement in the future. And if it's pointing towards either the facing or sitting star, this will indicate where you have improvement in the future. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get worse. It just means it's not going to get any better because the energy is not going the right direction. If you already have good health and a good relationship, this is an okay place to be, at least for a while. But the first one I showed you, the northeast sector, is much better than this one. This is also not a good place to work or study in, at least right now, because 3 is not timely, unless you have one of those 4 activated special formations that make all stars become timely for all periods. Otherwise, this is not a great room for anything. It could be a storeroom, a bedroom, a pantry, your laundry room. It could even be your family room. It's okay for a family room or a living room because those aren't too important. And generally, it's not a terrible sector. So it's the same house again. Now this is the northwest sector. Now this looks a lot like the first one. We have a different type of a direction here. Remember, we're looking at the sitting star, which is 1. So we look here. Well, there's a control relationship or balancing relationship between the facing and the sitting star, which is still good. And then this looks the same as that first one in the northeast sector. This is actually pretty good, especially now in the Shui period. We are already in period 9. It'll be even better next year in 2024. But for periods 9, 1, and 2, this is a good location for study and work, and it's also a good location for a bedroom. It is a little worrisome if you do not have one of the 4 special formations because when it's timely, 2 is a well star. When it's untimely, 2 is a illness star. So this probably would not be a good bedroom after period 2. But this is still 60 years away, so it's fine for now. But just be aware of that. So either that first bedroom in the northeast or this bedroom in the northwest, either one of these are good for bedrooms in general. So this is your personal 8 mansions. This is an important chart, and you may want to take a screenshot if you want, because later the qual number will become the focus. But all the green ones are good directions. These 2 are, I would call them neutral. They're definitely not good, but they can be useful. But you don't want to have anything really important doing anything facing one of these directions. These 2 are the ones that are more problematic. Now, that doesn't mean you can watch TV facing one of these directions, because that's not an important activity. But you don't want to have, let's say, your main door or your house face one of these directions, if at all possible. But you could, for example, have a house face one of these directions, but the main door faces one of these. Then it's okay. You've got to have at least one key of those two for everybody in the house. Now you might note that, well, okay, we have an East group and West group, and they're color-coded here. But if we look at the East group, all the good ones will have East, South, North, and Southeast. And they'll just be in a different order for the different East group people. And the West group people have the same thing. They have the Northeast, Northwest, West, and Southwest, and they're just in a different order. I do have a whole video about this, but I'm just trying to remind people of how this works. Now, this is the house's 8-mansion sectors. The personal one has to do with directions. The house has to do with sectors. I personally do not find this to be terribly powerful. The flying stars seem to rule much better than the 8 mansions. But you may only have 8 mansions if your house does not have a flying star chart, because it's between a cardinal and ordinal direction, or between the subdirections of 1 and 2. And then you may only have the house 8 mansions. But then your house is in this emptiness sector if you're between these directions. So they're not good houses in general. But the reason why I say that I really have my doubts about 8 mansions is I happen to live in a south-facing apartment building. The whole building was south-facing, and my main door was south-facing. But the bedroom was in the northwest sector of the house, and the main door was in the southwest sector of the house. However, this is the house in which I doubled my income, and we had enough money to buy a house. So the flying stars were probably much better. I haven't analyzed it because we haven't lived there for like 30 years. So it's sort of like, I have to do a lot of research to figure that house out, or that apartment out. So I just don't want to bother, because I've got a lot of other things on my plate right now. Now, when it comes to bedrooms, the most important bedroom is that of the owners, because if the owners have problems with their health or relationships, that tends to disrupt the entire household. Now, you're either going to be a West group person or an East group person, and when it comes to, if it's a couple, you could both be East group, you could both be West group, or you could have a mix. And you've got about a 50-50 chance of having a mix. And once you add children or other adults into the mix, if you have more than 3 people, you have over an 85% chance of having a mixed grouped household. And that's not abnormal at all. This is actually pretty normal to do that. Now, when it comes to the couple, who gets the good bed direction if they don't share one will depend on the person that has the greater need. And that depends a little bit on the individual's health or relationships, but it also depends on the existing house and main door facing directions, because that will benefit, if you're in a mixed group household, that will benefit half of the household. And if you're in a mixed group couple, it's going to benefit these two, the house and main door facing directions will benefit one person if they're in the same direction. Sometimes you can move the main door if you actually own the place. Other times you're stuck with what you have. Now, health and relationships are always a focus in a bedroom. So the sitting star is the focus star. The sitting star should be timely. And I did talk a little bit about that in the examples. But if the sitting star is not timely, then This is not good. But remember, if you have one of those 4 activated special formations, your sitting star will be timely everywhere. The sitting star should be supported by the facing star, and I talked about the ones with all the examples of what I mean by supported. And ideally, the base star should also support the sitting star. So the arrow should point towards the sitting star. Now, if you have no choice but to work and study in that bedroom, your bedroom, then the facing star should either be timely or star 1 or star 4. Any one of those can work. Now, if health is the primary issue for one person of the couple, now if you both happen to share the same qua number, it'll work for both people, but you can consider using the bedroom that's located in the house's health sector, the TNE sector. You may not have a bedroom there, but if you do, you could use it. So you look for your house facing, and you've got the 8 possible ones, and then this will tell you where your health sector is for your house's 8 mansions. Now, this will just give a little boost, and this is only really important if health is the real issue. The headboard should face the person who is ill, their health direction, their personal health direction. And if you can have a solid wall behind the bed where you have the small Tai Chi sitting star of 6, that, if you can get all of these, that is about as strong as you can get. This will give you the best chances for good health. Now, this will not keep you from dying. Everybody is going to die at some point. But this can make you healthy as possible while you're still alive. Now, if relationships are primary, you could look at the house's longevity, which is also the love and relationship sector. Some people call it longevity, some call it love and relationships. And this is called the yin-nian direction. And so this again is the house facing, and these are the sectors where you have the love and relationship. Now, that is something you can do, but the key here, I think, is the headboard of the bed of a couple. It's the person who has the most issues with the relationship should get their personal love and relationship direction for the headboard direction, because they're the one who needs the most help. Again, a solid wall with a small Tai Chi sector of 6 is good. If 7 is timely, which means that you actually have to, right now, you have to have a one of the 4 special formations for this to happen, and has to be activated. Then 7 can be timely. Now, 7 is related to communications, and that helps with relationships. But you can't use 7 if it's untimely. You can only use it if it's timely. If it's untimely, then use 6, because it's the same element, and it has some good aspects about that. Now, if you do this and it's already so far gone in the relationship, this can't necessarily rescue a relationship that's like too far gone, but if it's on the borderline, this can make a difference. Now, for children, you have to look at their needs first. But a bed should always be against a sitting wall. The sitting star needs to be timely. But here, for children, the qua number is the focus star. So we've changed what the focus star is. And here's one thing that actually can be very, let's say, concerning for a parent. If the child becomes ill easily, and in this case, this could also apply to a retired adult like your parents or grandparents, then the sitting star should support the person's qua number. And And it can be either the growth, the friend, or the controlling. It can be any one of them, but it needs to support their qua number because this gives them extra energy or gives their body extra energy, which usually helps with health. Now, of course, all the same things that we've been talking about, the sitting star should be supported by the facing star and, if possible, also by the base star. This is pretty key. You want, if at all possible, to have their headboard in their personal health direction and in the small Tai Chi sector with the sitting star 6. So you can't always get all of this, these two, but if you can get one, it's better than none. Now, if the parents do not have any health concern, you could consider putting the child in the house's Tianye, the house's health sector. But if the parents do have health concerns, you shouldn't do this, because if the parents get ill, the household can have real problems. Now, another common problem is the child is unmotivated to learn. Now, this can also apply to adult children. For this, you're not so concerned about the bed. If they're working, and this could be in their bedroom or outside, if they're working someplace else, but you want them to face their personal growth direction. And this will help them grow, especially if it's that is learning and growing there together. Now, if it's an adult child who's working but not working very hard, you could also consider the success direction for them. But for children, it really should be the growth direction. Now, you can also, if possible, put their desk where you have the small Tai Chi sector with a facing star 4 or 1. And some people respond better to 1, some people respond better to 4. You can switch it off and see which one your child seems to have better luck with. And this can happen also if they're not in their bedroom, if they're in the dining room, you can maybe do this too. That's pretty common. Or even at the kitchen counter. If that has one of these 2 stars, the 4 or the 1, you're good. That will help. And you should encourage your child to sit there if their desk cannot be located in the right location in their bedrooms. Now, other issues that parents can be concerned about is if their child is too shy, where they really have trouble making friends and interacting with other kids and other people. Here, you really want to have the sitting star grow their qua number. A friend star is okay too, but the sitting star can grow their qua number, it's better. Again, the sitting star should be supported by the facing star and the base star if possible. And here, the sleeping or connecting with friends, whether it's in person or more likely over the internet, you want them to face their love and relationship direction. And you could also be concerned about having them also have the sitting star 6 or 7, depending on whether 7 is timely. But, I don't think you need quite so much here. And that gets it very hard to design a small bedroom. Now, if your child is too aggressive or disobedient, in general, it's better to have the sitting star control their qua number, because that helps balance it out and makes their qua number a little bit under control. I mean, they have a better chance of having their emotions under control. Now, if your child is aggressive, sometimes that's because they're scared. Sometimes it's because they have trouble with relationships. And if it's because they're scared, then growing their qua number might be better. So you may need to get some professional help to understand why your child is aggressive. And then you can choose here. Now, these 2 things also apply here. And again, you could use 6 as the location where the bed is, or 7 if it's timely. But like I said, I think that for a child's bedroom, that gets really hard to do. But if the child is sick, I think it's worth it to try that. Now, if you're lucky enough to have all your kids be healthy, happy, and good students, then they can have any bedroom, so long as the facing star supports the sitting star, because that in general is good for a bedroom. But it's still ideal, even if all your kids are good, to look and see if you can have all the sitting stars support your particular child's claw number and arrange your rooms that way. But if your kids are, again, healthy, happy, good students, you don't have to worry about that as much. And if they're already in bedrooms and they like their bedrooms, you don't have to change anything. It's only when your students have, or your kids have problems, would you want to consider moving their bedrooms around. So that's basically all I can talk about when it comes to bedrooms. They are one of the most important places in your house, so you should pay some attention to them. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will have more videos on the important rooms in your house, and they will be in the important room playlist. Thank you again for watching.